Everybody, I'll call a meeting to order. The agenda tonight is just for code update review by the board. As I've said in the past and will continue to say, we are not taking public comment at this point, but everyone will have ample opportunity once the the review's done by the board and it goes to a public hearing. Couple things before we get going. There was a scheduled hydrant flush, which has been pushed back one day, so it'll start Tuesday to Friday and not Monday for everyone. Get your fingers on the Facebook keys so you can find out what's going on with the water. Also, as everyone knows now, Bruce Campbell has passed away a few days ago, and I just wanted his wake will be at the Clinton Funeral Home on Sunday between 2 and 5. So that's Bruce's wake, Clinton Funeral 2 to 5, and there is a graveside service, which I'm not sure if the public's invited to. It didn't say. I've only read this in the Highland Current, and that's Monday, 10:30 at Cold Spring Cemetery. But I would check and see if that's for the public or just family. But I didn't know, and from reading this, that Bruce had served so long on the village board. He was on for 10 years.
Really?
At least.
Wasn't he on? Did he work with Anthony too? He was
probably, yeah.
Assistant under Anthony, I believe.
2002 to 2006, and then 2009 to 15. So it's probably served under every mayor since.
Yep.
So, I guess. Anyway, Bruce put a lot of time in. Probably people don't know on all the things he was involved in. They mentioned a few in the article, but I think he was also president of the JCs. He was on, I think not positive, maybe the Lions Club, Little League. So he spent a lot of time and energy. I know he put together the 4th of July events for a number of years before I started. Anyway, Bruce put a lot of time in. Our condolences once again to Bruce's family and people again interested in going to the wake. It's Sunday 2 to 5 at Clinton Funeral. Anything else of import that we need to get out to the public tonight from anybody?
Nothing that I know, no.
Okay. All right, so moving along, let me see, I need to get my little screen over here. Okay, we're continuing on zoning, is that right?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I have a startup question and comment. One, once we got into this habitable living, and then Marie did her research, and there's like several other different gross, and then there's living space and gross living space, and it's pretty complicated to me, and you have to go through this chapter and make sure everything's good. And so I'm wondering, I know we hired, I think it was Ted Fink at the beginning of this whole process, and he's the one that actually got us the grant for this. So isn't this something that we shouldn't be doing, that we could have somebody that's in the know better than us to do? I know he costs money, but I think we agreed on that and have the money to. So instead of 4 of us or 5 of us during each one of these meetings going through and hashing out stuff like habitable space and how it affects the change or what open space is, why aren't we having Ted Fink and was it Green Plan, I guess? Why aren't they involved?
Ted Fink is Green Plan. Ted Fink did not get us the grant. Stephanie Hawkins got us the grant. Ted is ready and is going to do our SECRA review, and that's going to take up a significant amount of our money. I don't know that we have any money left for him. However, the point that you're bringing up is that there are multiple phrases that are used in Chapter 134 to describe different things. And it seems to me that we, the village board, are capable of ironing out the differences there. And as you saw from my email yesterday, the habitable living area has been changed to revert to livable, I don't have it in front of me, livable space, which is what the code described prior to the code update. The code update introduced the term habitable living area. So there's the gross floor space, which if you read it is not what you would think of as the gross floor space. The gross is essentially the footprint. So it's from the external facade, not from the internal walls. There is a need for a net floor space definition when you are identifying when you are stating what the requirements are for other things, such as when you describe the requirement for parking spaces. There you want to talk about net floor area, not gross floor area.
But it doesn't say it's not in there. There's gross floor space, there's gross area, there's livable area, there's living space.
Right.
I don't understand. I guess the answer, my question was an answer. Why isn't Ted Fink, involved in this? Why don't we have him look at this? And we're going to spend a lot more time tonight. You spent a lot of time, and we're saying it's taking so long. So why aren't we getting help from somebody that does this for a living?
Well, first off, John has reviewed the entire chapter.
But John's not the person we hired. We hired them. And when I first took over, we hired Ted Fink, and there was a whole big thing about it, and people quitting at the time when I took office because of that. And Ted Fink was the one, with Stephanie, that was the one that was able to get the grant. I believe he wrote it for us. And part of the deal was that he was working with us in this whole process, but has he been involved at all? And now we're going through a second iteration. We've also already had the whole code update committee go through all of this, and none of this was seen during those meetings. It's confusing to me just looking at it once, and now we're dealing with it, but it seems like it's something we have somebody to do. Why can't they look at it and straighten this out?
I think that the email that I sent yesterday straightened it out.
I don't. I'm looking through it again, and it's like confusing still.
Can we based on the email you sent yesterday, Marie, can we go in and just make those adjustments and clean this up and see if that works? I mean, it seemed it was a long email because you went back and quoted every section of the code where these terms were. But if we go in and just make those changes and then have John or have Ted or somebody take a look at it afterwards and see if they read the way they should, will that work? Which will save some.
And then where do we start? We start at I think we have to start at definitions, because the only floor space and area I see is gross floor area of a building.
No,
We have habitable.
No, there's habitable floor area. There's gross floor area.
Inhabitable, which was a problem, and which we got rid of. So habitable we have, and we have floor area, gross floor area of building floor, and those are the only two I see. Am I missing one?
Yes, I recommended that we insert net floor area and that we have the definition of livable floor area. And I provided definitions for both of them.
And then the question comes up again is, when do we use livable, and why isn't, and that is livable also going to have included in it that it's not kitchens or bathrooms or?
No, livable
so what's
is
the
not.
difference between interior, just airspace or a floor space, and livable space?
There is no difference. If you look at the definition, it's interior floor space measured from the interior face of the walls.
Right. The horizontal. It's
Horizontal.
Right. Multiplying the horizontal sides, I would imagine. Right.
Yeah. However many floors you have, minus basements and attics, which are not being used for
gross floor area.
No.
Gross is measured from the outside walls.
Right, that's
But
the
the way
change.
I'm reading, it's the sum of the horizontals is all of the floors included. So,
Correct. But it's from the exterior facade minus attics and basements, unless attics and basements are used for living.
and why are we using that instead of interior gross?
There's
Which
two
doesn't,
different.
isn't there interior gross floor space?
Gross is typically the four corners of the building, not the inside of the building.
So when we're talking about, some of this seems like it would be related to interior floor space.
It
Like
is.
adding
It's,
the,
we've got two
sounds
different
like it's the
definitions.
gross, it sounds like it's the gross interior floor space, which is the attic. Well, you're saying no, but it's like, maybe that's clear to you and maybe that's how you see it, but that's not how I'm seeing it. And if it's that way, then why are we going on the outside versus the inside? And why is some of it inside and some of it outside?
Okay, so it's outside.
See,
when
we're
you're-
wasting a lot of time here. To me, we're wasting a lot of time when we have somebody that can clear this up and go through this and put down the definitions that we need, look at all of this and straighten this out. But instead, we're going to talk tonight and keep talking about this, I guess. So explain it to me, and let's use up another hour of time.
So I think Fran's suggestion was a good one. I'll go through and I will update the code on Google to reflect the changes that I recommended in the document from yesterday. And if you think it is still unclear, then we can certainly go to Ted and ask him to take a look at those definitions as they are used in Chapter 134.
Okay, so the question is, why do we not do that right now and move ahead to something else? Why not do that right now? Why not let somebody that we've hired just do that?
I'm going to do that, and I'll do that tomorrow.
After you do all this work on everything and put in and arrange it as you see fit or as you believe it should be, and it's clear to you. And that's a lot more work.
And I'm willing to do the work.
It doesn't seem like we need to do the work. If we have somebody that can do it, we can concentrate on something else.
And I'm suggesting we'll go on tonight and concentrate on something else and send Ted off tomorrow the document with the changes that we're recommending.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay. Fran, I'll
Okay.
take care of that. Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to figure, where did we?
We ended up at 134.9F.
Okay, and we discussed the definition of open space. Do we want to clean that up? Do we want to pass that on too? I mean, I understood the definition of open space based on what you sent us: unoccupied and undeveloped piece of land containing no buildings or other built structures, or a portion of a lot which is vacant while other portions of the lot contain buildings or other built structures. I think that's clear. As you pointed out, in Butterfield, there's open space, but it's a lot that has buildings on it, but there's open space that needs to be there. So I thought the definition that you proposed was good. I don't know if you want to just change that, or do we want to pass that on also?
I'd like to know why it can't be simply, isn't open space anything that doesn't have a permanent structure on it?
Yes.
Well,
Then
isn't that what it says in the
building
email?
What's that?
Isn't that what it says in the email that Ray sent? An unoccupied and undeveloped piece of land containing no buildings or other built structures.
See, when you say that, then that knocks out the Butterfield requirement for open space, since Butterfield is one lot that has buildings on it. But there is a requirement in 134BA that there be a percentage of the property that is open space. So that's why I have the or in there.
I see.
So if you said open space was any land that doesn't have a structure on it, how does that not, how would that affect, and if Butterfield has a mandated or has a required amount of open space per their approvals, why isn't that clear? It would be land that doesn't have any building on it.
But
No.
Butterfield does have buildings on it, multiple buildings.
It's
Yeah, but
looked
you
at,
have to have X amount of open space on the lot.
Correct, but the definition of open space is no buildings or built structures.
on a piece of land. It's not necessarily, it doesn't, it says on a piece of land, it doesn't necessarily say the whole lot. If
No,
it
but
says,
if you have a definition of open space that says you can't have building on it, an open space is an area with no building on it. Then if someone is, during their approval, is told that they have to have 20% of open space, and you look at their plan, then 20% of it wouldn't be able to be built on. It would be open space. It's building without, or land without building on it.
Although
No.
the problem is that they would come back and say, the open space knocks me out. I don't have open space because I have built structures on that property. Tell you what, why don't I send that to Ted as well?
Okay, because I don't understand why it can't be simplified.
okay, so that's going to Ted, that's going to Ted. And the other one that we discussed was,
B1, I'm sorry,
B1, right,
sorry,
134.9,
134.9A.
134.9A, and that just had to do with the lot numbers of where B1 ends on the eastern side.
Well, as it turns out, you have to look at Appendix D. Appendix D contains a list of all of the parcels that are in the B1 district, both below, to the west of the railroad tracks and to the east of the railroad tracks. And as it turns out, as you pointed out, the current definition of B1 for the eastern terminus of B1 on Main Street is two properties, 158 Main Street and the gas station. Well, that 158 Main Street and the gas station have in between them a number of parcels that are residential. So the eastern boundary can't be two buildings that are separated from one another. The same is true on that's on the north side of Main Street. The same problem is true on the south side of Main Street, where the identification of the terminus of the eastern boundary on the south side of Main Street, it is actually, I think it's Eric Wertz's property, which is a residential parcel.
I think you said Joe and Malika's.
Joe and Malika's is 48.08-6-16, but 48.08-6, oh, I know what it is. 48.08-6-1 is a non-existent part of.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see Joe and Malika's being the end of it because there's nothing past there except the church. On the other side.
There's Eric Wertz's property. So it is appropriate.
Where?
Pardon me?
Where's Eric? I don't know where Eric's property.
Eric Wertz is right next to, just to the
Oh,
east.
okay.
Okay.
So it's Eliza's house.
It's a
Yes.
residential property.
It's Eliza's house. Yes, it is, Fran.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I thought you said it was a licensed house.
No, Eliza. Okay, so
But you also have to look at Appendix D, because Appendix D identifies, for example, Appendix D identifies tax map 48.12-2 and 26, 27, 28 through 37. So it identifies approximately another 50 parcels, all of the parcels that are on Main Street between the railroad tracks and 158 Main Street and Joe Malika's property. So those are all identified in Appendix D. Now, as it turns out, Appendix D also contains some other parcels which are non-existent. And so that has to get corrected.
is Eliza's property considered B1?
No.
No, it's R1.
Okay, so then B1 actually does end at Joe's,
Yes.
and Malika's.
Yes.
Yeah.
On that side. On the other side,
However,
On the south side.
on the south side.
Yes.
On the north side, it ends at the paint store.
Okay, so everything above the paint store is not B1.
No,
So
there are two,
how-
no, there are two parcels to the east of the paint store that are B1, James Hartford's parcel, the gas station, and I'm sorry, I forgot, Whistling Willie's. Those
Oh,
three,
so it jumps, so B1 jumps over the couple of residential houses in there.
right. Now, in addition, A does not identify the Hendricks property or the Downey property, which are both shown in the zoning map as B1.
Okay, Hendrick's property is where, I'm sorry?
Hendricks property is next to Dunkin' Donuts.
The north side of Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting sort of, I don't know the names, but
Borders
at
on Wall Street.
least I could do north, south, east, and west. This particular, okay. What we're talking about here in this particular section, the B1 district is defined as those tax maps parcels fronting on north and south sides of Main Street. So that particular part, we have a Joe and Malika on one side, and we have,
discontiguous
right, this, we have
Parcels
this, yes.
on the north side.
So we go up to Whistling Village with the exception of the 2 residential or the 3 residential houses. In addition, the B1 district also includes blah, blah, blah.
Right.
whatever. Okay, so can we reword that properly?
I'm working on that.
Okay, so,
The problem is, there's one other problem here. The Garufi property on Depot Square is identified as a B1 parcel. It is not on Main Street, but it is shown in the zoning map as being a business.
is the Depot restaurant considered a B1?
Yeah.
So then basically Depot Square on both sides, on east and west? Or is it all B1? What about the old Padala residence on the corner of Main?
That is B1.
So basically everything on Depot Square is B1.
It's shown on the zoning map as B1, but it is not identified in this section or in Appendix D as B1.
Okay, so is the question, do we want them to be B1, or is the question we need to fix the Appendix D?
I have to talk to Donald, and I also need to talk to Arlene Owen, who apparently has the zoning districts. Arlene Owen is in the, works in Carmel in the IT department and has produced the base for all of our maps. So I need to confer with her about how she is showing those 3 properties that I talked about and where she got that information from.
So the map shows that the Garufi property and the corner property, they don't even show a separation on that, on the map.
You are correct. The zoning map does not show a separation between the Garufi and the corner on Main Street.
Was it one time owned by one person?
I don't know.
It
I
could have
don't know the
been
answer to that.
definitely family. Fresendez were on the corner, but
Padala used to own the Garufi property.
Okay, and
Oh,
Padala owned,
I take that back. That was where he had the sweatshop.
so is it our job to determine whether or not we want to keep that all B1 or, I mean, do we want to make those residences, the Garufi and the shop on the corner, which, the house on the corner?
I don't think we want to put the shop on the corner as an R1.
No, because it has a business in it,
Well,
which faces Main Street.
but as I say, I need to find out the data that is underlying the zoning map.
Okay.
can you also legally change someone's zoning? You know, if somebody's, say Downey's is B1, and can the village actually change that to R1?
The village can do that, but only after a public hearing.
I could see a big lawsuit going on for something like that. Even Garufi's property and that, if it's designated or somebody had bought it within the last 10 years or something as a commercial property or as a business property, and then the board decides they don't think it should be. I'm not saying that it should or shouldn't. I'm just saying I could see an argument strongly in their favor.
That's why I want to go back and find out where that information came from that generated the zoning map.
And that's sort of similar to the letter Marie pointed out on Tuesday from in Pelletier about his waterfront property,
Mhm.
that he wants to have input before we make any changes at the riverfront.
Well, and he can.
And he
He-
can. I
he-
mean,
that's
he
gonna
has
be-
a say.
That's part of the public hearing.
Yeah.
And what's he want to do? Sorry, not
He
privy to
says, I'm sorry. He basically said this letter serves as my right as a taxpayer to have the opportunity to add comments about any further decisions that will affect the value of my property. He
Oh.
talks about the code update committee. Let me see. I'm the current owner of a prime piece of real estate, which is purchased by my father. Privately owned parcel has been owned by my family. I currently owns. The board should also note that on record that I should be notified of any further potential changes that the board may recommend as they strive to complete the master plan for this waterfront area.
So
So he,
to that point, the Code Update Committee is recommending changes to the I-1 district by eliminating it and replacing it with the MU1 district, elimination of the Recreation District and replacing it with the Parks and Recreation District. And there's one other change, which escapes me for the moment. My plan was to send personal letters to each of the owners of properties in the I-1 and the Recreation District to make them aware that the public hearing was going to be held, and at which case they can voice their concern or whatever.
Mhm. Okay.
okay,
And I sent you sorry, it's on the website, it's on the Google, and it shows specifically by tax map ID and address and owner's name, all of those properties that are being recommended to be changed from I-1 to MU1, or from Parks and Recreation or from Recreation to Parks and Recreation. Oh, and I-2, there's also I-2. I-2 is going to be eliminated.
okay.
I-2 is heavy industry, I-1 is light industry. Marathon is all I-1.
And that's proposed to be changed to,
MU1,
MU.
mixed use, a
Mixed use.
combination of residential, commercial, retail, whatever. We'll go through that.
okay. So we're at 134.9, which is page 22. I think we did some of this last night. We were talking about overnight accommodations. We were talking about considering short-term rentals there, and we decided to put that aside. Okay, so that's to wait. So all of that we wait for. So let me see here. The next thing I see, if my screen will stay still.
134.9C, page 23.
134.9C.
What's the topic?
Regulations. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Use
Wrong.
permitted is C.
Okay, use is permitted. Got it.
Okay.
So
In
we're gonna
addition, okay. In addition to the overnight accommodations requirements specified in R1, the following additional requirements apply for overnight in B1 district. That was when I was talking about the short-term rentals, so we decided to hold off on that.
Yep.
Okay, we were going to, and I didn't clean this up because I had other stuff to do today. 3 stays in their retail business.
Yes.
Okay, and it looks like I crossed out the number, and I do have to clean this up, so I will.
Oh, shame on you. Shame on you.
I know, I had to do leaf and garbage today. Today was my leaf and garbage note day.
So you're going to delete 9 and 10?
9 and 10 of what? I'm sorry. They're
Uh,
blank. I don't know what was in there.
Hold on a second. I can find it. Ooh. It's going to take me a minute.
It's okay. That's all right. If they're blank, I'm going to take them out at this point.
Fran, rather than take them out tonight, let me look them up. So that's
Okay.
134, 9, C as in Charlie.
I believe, let me just go back one more time. Are we in, yes, C, 9 and 10, also 6. Okay, see what was in there, and then we could just move them out.
Okay, I'll look that up and get that to you.
Okay, we move on. A lot of empty space in this. So another thing I was going to try to clean out. Underneath D, sorry. I don't know an easy way with this. If I send everybody a note about Google Docs and how everybody's yelling about the fact that the screens jump all over the place.
Yeah,
Not
jump,
that
jump,
that-
jump, jump.
Yep. Okay, so D4, we're taking out hotel accommodations. I believe that's fine. Right. Lynn, for some reason, was adding a B in minimum, and I don't know why.
I have no idea.
I have no idea, but it doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to pull it out. Okay. In E4, we're on page 25. E4, front yard 40 feet. This is what we discussed Tuesday that you said Aaron didn't want this.
Where are we?
I'm sorry, we're in 134.9. I wish there was a way we could cross 134.9 E4 minimum requirements.
I'm trying to get there. It keeps going back to B.
It's on page 25 if you have the sidebar pages.
I'm into B10 now. I can't get back to B.
It's showing as page 134, 025, if that helps.
Okay, so we're okay with minimum requirement. Sorry, the first one that I want to make sure everybody is okay on is the front yard setback, where B1 lots on Main Street can have a 0-foot front yard setback. Everybody's okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then the next is the same consideration in the B1 district as existed in the R1 district with front yard setbacks.
This is where you have the option of either being,
0 or 40 feet.
right,
Sorry,
okay,
Sorry. You can have 0, 40, or conform to the average.
right. Now you can have 0 only on Main Street, B1 lots on Main Street.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we're down to F, building height.
Yes. And Dave, I answered your question. So this is a change, 2 changes. The building height can't be permitted to be 3 stories on Main Street. If I'm just looking at building height A, the height, the measured height for a 3-story building would be 40 feet. And the way we arrived at that number is we calculated 10 foot per story, some minimum amount for a basement or foundation, and then some amount in between each story. You two guys would know how much space is in between each story. Is it a foot, 1.5 feet, 2 feet?
You generally figure 10 feet per story.
10 feet per story?
But
Now,
different buildings have different ceiling heights, especially in these old towns. So it's not consistent.
Right. So we came up with 40 feet. Now,
There's some buildings bigger than that in town already.
yes, there are.
Mhm.
And what we said was you can, if you have a currently existing building or if you're building new, the 3 stories, the height of the new building or the height of the additional story cannot block any windows, doors, or vents in adjacent buildings. It cannot inhibit the movement of air or entrance of light into adjacent buildings. If any of those are true, then the maximum number of stories is 2.5.
So when we were discussing even the R1, the 35, we got into the discussion before on the whole average of each side, and then that number to half, the height was half of the attic space, and that's where we came up with the number there. Is there something that should be said here that it's 40 feet? That's where that's from. It's 40 feet from where, and how do we get to 40 feet?
Well, I don't know how 35 feet was arrived at, but I just explained how we arrived at 40 feet.
But if somebody wants to do something and it's 40 feet and there's nowhere in this code that says what 40 feet is, where is 40 feet from? Is it from the grade? Is if they have a foundation that's up 5 feet, is it from the 5 feet up where the story starts? You know, or maybe they have a deck and it starts there, and that would mean a building could be 50 feet high. Where does it start?
You have a
The other
good
one,
point.
3.5 stories also meant that you could have a pitched roof on it. And if you had a pitched roof on it, that, 35 feet actually wasn't 35 feet. It's more like 40 feet, or it could be whatever, depending on the dimensions of the building.
You've got a good point, and I will add the measurement of the height to this using the measurement of the height from the R1 district.
Can we say something like a maximum of at 40 feet at the highest point,
Well,
rather than
Dave,
40 feet?
Dave wants to know where the 40 feet is
Right.
measured from. And what I
So-
will do is I will add the measurement that we inserted in R1 into B1.
But if you wanted 40 feet and it came from grade, then we could say, I think what Fran's asking is, can we just say that in this chapter, that maximum height is 40 feet from grade?
That's
Or
what I
from
just said.
wherever.
They're going to say, where's the grade?
Yeah.
I
Or-
just said,
or from where-
what I said I would do is I'll add the requirements into B1 that we inserted in R1.
I understand that, but when you guys were talking, you said that you came up with the 40 feet, and that's not how you came up with the 40 feet. You came up with the 40 feet, and it sounds like that was the maximum height you wanted was 40 feet. If we go by the other formula, it's going to be over 40 feet.
Well, then it can't happen. Then it can't be 40. Then you would not be permitted, if you're going to exceed 40 feet, you would not be permitted to go to 3 stories. You would not be permitted to go to 40 feet. You have to go to 35 feet.
If
Okay, when
you
you read the other one, I think you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, if I go back to the other one, I'm going to get totally confused right now. So I'll wait for you to
I think
adjust.
the other one, you had to be, if you went to the center of between the attic and the peak, that had to be 35 feet. And that's, so if we go by that formula, I don't know where it wouldn't work with this formula. If you want, if what the update committee wanted was 40 feet, meaning 40 feet, then that formula won't work. I mean, if you want to allow 40 feet, then, we should come up with something that says from grade to peak or to the maximum height is 40 feet.
And that's what I'll do is I'll add the requirements that are currently in R1, which talk about the height relative to whether you have a flat roof, whether or not you have I can't remember whether it's a hip or a gambrel roof, or whether you have a pitched roof. I'll add all that to B1.
Right. But what I'm saying is the way that formula went, they said 35 feet, but the 35 feet wasn't 35 feet. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
In that formula that we said for the R1, it said 35 feet, but the formula, it doesn't have to be 35 feet. It can be 38 feet or whatever because of the way the formula works. So if you said 40 feet and worked with that same formula, then it's going to be higher than 40 feet. Yeah, you could look at it and maybe.
I'll work on it and I'll send you the new wording.
All right, that'll be interesting.
Okay. I'm gonna accept as we are. Okay, number 2, we're just adding building percentage of lot coverage is 35%. That seems fine. Okay, supplemental regulations, we took out a whole bunch here under G. We took out all of the information about signs, and I assume that's because we're referring to the sign chapter.
Yes.
Okay.
It should, in somewhere here, it should,
So we're deleting, under G, we're deleting all of number 1. And then is everybody good with that? It basically is,
what I'll do, Fran, I'll change that so that it refers to 104.
okay. So then I should not delete this yet?
Yeah, not delete it yet until I get up with the wording.
Okay. I assume most of this that I'm seeing with all the X's, I'm looking at 2019. This was code update committee changes, right? Okay, number 2, any permitted non-residential use located on a lot within 25 feet of a residence district. Now you took out any lot line of which lies.
Okay,
Is
so
everybody okay with that? Shall be screened from that residence district along any such lot line, and lighting shall be so arranged to conform with Chapter 81 outdoor lighting standards.
right.
So that part is fine. Is everybody okay with these changes on number 2? Got them. There will be no glare. Okay, instead of saying no glare, we just conform to the previous chapter. All right.
Right.
No public hearing should be required before the planning board on the question of fencing or hedging. Okay. Everybody good with that?
Guess so.
Okay. All uses requiring or utilizing a lot area in excess of 5,000 square feet in general, but shall require site plan review. Why are we taking that out?
I believe we said someplace else that a site plan review is required.
Is required?
Is required. I'll go back and search. So this is in
This is
G.
134.9G4.
I'll go search that.
Okay. Now we're in B2, designated shopping district. Following regulations apply to B2. Site plan review and approval in each case where a building or alteration or conversion or use is proposed. And do you mean use or change of use?
I'm sorry. First off, G, it shouldn't be G.
G looks nice. I like G. You want to make it an A? Is there more than one?
I don't know.
All right, let me start with an A. Hold on for a second, see if I can do this without jumping. All right, let's stick this in here.
Oops, scroll.
All right. I'm gonna leave it as a. There you go. All about that. I got an 8. Site plan review.
It should be an uppercase A.
Oh, Marie, now you're confusing me.
I'm sorry. The numbering convention is capital letter first.
There you go.
Thank you.
Site plan review and approval in each case for a building or alteration or conversion or use. Do you mean change of use?
Fran, I'm going to have to go back to my notes on that.
Okay. Or alteration or conversion. Who shall refer, shall be
Yeah.
submitted to the code enforcement officer?
Yeah.
Who shall refer the site, okay, refer the site plan for the proposed building or use to the planning board. Such board shall determine that all requirements of this chapter have been met, including the plan and standards required for site plan reviews. Taking out plan and standards required for special use permits under 134-16B. We took all that out.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yes,
just,
this is changed from a special use permit to a site plan review.
Okay.
And it falls now under the planning board instead of the zoning board of appeals.
okay, at this point, I have to admit that I have not read any of this.
So this is B2, which starts at Dunkin' Donuts and goes to Drug World.
Okay. So any proposed building or use, I'm wondering if this, in all cases, if this should be change of use. I'm just gonna stick that in and then you can,
No, this one, the proposed building, or this one should be or use.
refer the site plan of the proposed building or use, okay. Proposed use, okay. Site plan. Subdivisions. From good. Okay. Permitted uses, retail, business and professional offices, restaurants. Signs accessory to the establishment located on such signs as set forth in 104. Signs shall be permitted with the approval of the planning board as to location, size, design, materials, and construction. Do we want to say all that? Because we're going to refer back to 104 anyway. Do we want to take out this last part of it?
No, that one we want to leave in because it's the planning board here who shall approve it.
Okay.
And not, and who not, isn't that a historic district?
I don't know,
I think it is. We were just,
but it doesn't matter.
well, I
point-
mean, it would matter if they also have to have approval by the
Yes.
HDRA.
Yes. And this chapter it does not dictate what can or cannot happen in the historic district.
Okay, but it says on here, in this, and B, wherever we are, that signs shall be permitted with the approval of the planning board. But
Yeah.
it's in the historic district, isn't that kind of misleading? Isn't signs shall be permitted with the approval of the planning board and the historic district review board?
I don't think it's confusing because they still have to go to the HDRB.
But this doesn't say
We
that.
should say it.
By the planning.
If we say, no, I don't want to say it here because everything that we say here is probably also going to fall under the HDRB in one fashion or sense or another. So I think if we're going to say something about the HDRB, it needs to be upfront, way up front.
So why are we saying it should be permitted signs specifically by the, approved by the planning board if that's not the case?
It is the case, and it's an and condition. They also need to be reviewed by the HDRB. So up front in chapter 134, there needs to be a disclaimer that permissions have to be obtained from both the planning board, the zoning board, and or the HDRB as the case may be.
Can we
Oh,
say
why don't
something
we
here
put
that basically,
permitted by appropriate boards or by it?
yeah,
This, I was reading it, I would say,
Yeah.
okay, I looked under the signs and it said that I had to be approved by the planning board.
And there are a number of places where approval is necessary by the planning board throughout this chapter. What I'm proposing is instead of adding that in every single sentence, which says that it has to be reviewed by and or approved by the planning board, that we put something up front that says that plans, if you're, sorry, I'm not sure how I would word it, but I think it needs to be done up front to alert people that you may need multiple approvals.
Can we take out planning board here then and say, with the approval of the appropriate boards, the
No,
approval?
no, because this is very specific to the planning board. In my opinion, I said no. In my opinion, this is the planning board's responsibility. Here,
Then-
that is the planning board's responsibility
To approve a sign.
to approve signs in B2 as part of the site plan review.
Okay, I'm still sort of, I know what you're gonna put up front. All right,
Let's put a hold on that and keep going.
okay.
Okay, so
Fran.
which one is this, Fran? 134, 134, 10.
134, 10, and then it looks like G,
It can't be,
Um,
G. It's got to be something other than G.
okay.
It's
And now-
in addition to G.
No, it's lowercase g. Permitted uses is the name of the
That's what
the
it says.
section. It needs to be, the numbering of this needs to be cleaned up.
No, this is correct.
But we're going to
Is it-
Roman numerals and we don't have that anywhere else in it. And this is what we have, what we're looking at right now. Right now.
Right.
Okay, so it's
That is
lowercase
the-
g,
Yes, lowercase g,
Roman-
and then you go to Roman numerals.
Roman numeral 4, yes, okay. And then Roman numeral 5 is the next section. We're taking out bowling alleys. I like bowling alleys. You know, bowling alley over there instead of food, well, never mind. Okay, we're taking out bowling alleys. We got theaters and other commercial amusements.
So the question is, do you want to permit those?
Permitted uses theaters and other commercial
And other
amusements
commercial amusements in the
Yeah.
B2 district.
and fully enclosed structure. The B2 district is basically Food Town area, right? So
It goes from Dunkin' Donuts to Drug World.
so somebody could put in a video game arcade.
Good.
Mhm. I mean, it's fine as long as it's enclosed. You took out within a fully enclosed structure.
Yeah.
Why,
I'm not sure that we should take that out, because if you have something like a paintball machine game or something like that outside, that's not what we want either. Yeah. I mean, I like it being in a fully enclosed structure or in an enclosed structure at least.
Okay. I mean, whatever you think you
Anybody
want there.
else want it enclosed or not? I don't see anything else, in that much space being all over the place. So if it's enclosed, yes or no?
I think it has to be enclosed. I don't see what you would do that wouldn't be enclosed, but
Okay. Okay. We're adding public garages and filling stations, provided no repair work is performed out of doors. Pumps and lubricating devices are located at least 20 feet from any street, line, or highway right of way. All fuel, oil, or similar substances are stored at least 35 feet distant from any street. And all vehicle parts, dismantled vehicles, and similar articles are stored within a building. I don't know what the requirements of 134.9 D1.
I personally don't want that in that area.
What's
I mean, we
that?
have-
Garages and filling stations where they're doing car repairs and
Well,
Yeah, this
filling
basically,
stations currently there.
this says provided no repair is performed out of doors.
there's a gas station. Yeah, there's a filling station, but it doesn't provided no repair work performed out of doors. So this is saying you can do repair work indoors, which would be like a repair shop. And that's what I'm saying. I would
Yeah.
be in favor of a repair shop over there.
So should we take,
And that's my opinion. I don't know. It's like, do you want to repair? There was a repair shop there, and that means I think cars could be outside, right? Not work,
No.
but you could have the whole lot with cars in it waiting to get into the repair shop. You could have I mean, it'd have to go through a planning board and stuff. I doubt it would pass through there, but I don't see why you would.
Should we take out all this section, just say provided no repair work is performed? And just leave it public garages, filling stations? I mean, if the gas station decided to get rid of Dunkin' Donuts or whatever he has there, he could probably have, that's where they had the repair shop, right? Did they repair there? They did.
I mean, my opinion is I don't want it there. I don't know what everyone else feels.
What if we take all that out?
Before you do that, wait just a minute. I want to see what Louis is zoned as.
Is Louis a garage, or he's neither of those, I don't think.
Louis is B2. I misspoke about what B2 is. B2 goes from Dunkin' Donuts to Drug World on Chestnut Street, and it goes from Wall Street to Corralia's office on Marion Avenue.
Mhm.
So Louis does that work.
But he's not, but what would he be considered? He's a repair shop. He's not a garage or a filling station, I don't think.
It's not a filling station.
And it's not a public garage, it's a repair shop.
I think we'd get into trouble if we permitted Louis to do repair, which is performed out of doors, but didn't permit garages and filling stations to do repairs out of doors.
But Louis would be grandfathered in like a whole bunch of other things in the village. He's been there forever.
Yes, he's grandfathered in.
I don't know if he does repairs outside. I've never.
Oh yeah, he does. I've seen him
There's no
out.
way he would do it inside because he hasn't got much space. He's got a whole bunch of stuff outside back there. Most of which I don't think he's repairing. He just keeps them there because he can't move them.
Yeah, he's
But you-
storing them.
But people bring their lawnmowers and their snow blowers and their whatevers to him all the time, and he does a lot of the repairs outdoors.
He's got a whole bunch of antique stuff out there that hasn't moved for 50 years, I think.
You can say you can say that they're really, really old instead of calling them antiques.
Really old sounds better, yes. Antique sounds nice.
Does.
Okay, so public garages and filling stations, provided no repair work is performed out of doors.
I don't
Yeah.
see his business, and maybe we could have somebody clarify that for us. Is that a garage? Because to me, it's not a garage. I
That's
don't-
not a garage, yeah. It's not a garage. It is, what do you call it? It's a repair shop.
Repair shop.
Lawn and tractor repair.
Yeah. Do we want to add another section for repair shops? These are permitted uses. Do we want to say,
Grandfathered in. I think we just have to
Yeah.
worry about, do you want, and maybe everyone wants that. I'm just saying,
and he's in the back, which means it's not facing on Chestnut Street, but then the people who live in the back would not be happy if we allowed more stuff in the back and not in the front. Mhm.
Yeah, he's B2. If you want to delete it, delete it.
Delete the whole public garages and filling stations? Or delete
Well,
this section?
Either one.
I don't know if we need a public garage there. A filling station, I understand. I don't think a public garage, we don't need a public garage there. Just what we need is
how does the code work if we change the code and said no filling stations? The filling station that's there is grandfathered in, right? That's
Yes,
anything we change is not affecting what is already.
correct.
So I don't think do we want another filling station somewhere? Or do we want a garage on that stretch of property? I don't think one's going to go there, but I don't think we want one there. I don't want another filling station.
I don't want, yeah. I mean, I don't want another, a public garage I would take out because I don't think there's any reason to put a public garage there.
I would take both out. The other guys grandfathered in and he can stay there as long as he wants.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
And this could come up in the public hearing. If people really think we should have another filling station, or if we're missing something, then,
I mean, people will see where we've made the changes, right, Marie? They'll see the red
Yes.
line.
You'll see a
So
red
there's-
line.
They'll see what we've taken out, and if they don't like it, I'm good with taking all of that out, leaving what we have.
Steve, not if you agree.
Face is so, my whole face is itching right now.
Oh,
I'm scratching it and I can't even feel it. It's like
I hate that.
dead.
I'd rather go through the pain. I went through the pain of having to redo them because I didn't.
I
want the
still
Nova-
felt it when they drilled with the Novocaine.
Really?
Oh.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so I took that out.
Yep.
Should we just agree and I can click that off?
Mhm.
Okay, gone. Oops, subject to, that's out. Okay, next section we are looking at is manufacture. We took out manufacture, assembly, or treatment, which is clearly incidental to a retail business or service conducted on the premises. We don't want any manufacture, assembly, or treatment.
It's an inappropriate, in my opinion, it's an inappropriate use in that district.
Which is clearly incidental to a retail business. I'm not quite sure. Or service conducted on the premises. So if you had, just off the top of my head, somebody selling hand crocheted whatever, and in the back they're manufacturing, they're making them, maybe not hand crocheted, with machines and stuff like that. Is that considered inappropriate? So they have these knitting machines that make things, and they're selling all kinds of things up in the front. That's manufacture of something that's incidental to a retail business.
So let me change that a bit and say that Louis, who has a service on the premises of repairing lawnmowers and tractors, he creates parts for use in his service. That could be an example of VI.
Is he considered a retail business or service? Okay, he's a service.
He's a service.
Yeah.
If you want to delete it, fine. If you want to leave it in, fine. It's totally up to you.
I would leave that in, but that's not necessary. What does anybody else think? Leave it in, take it out?
I would take it out.
Take it out. Okay, Steve, out.
I agree.
Hey, okay, so it's gone. Gone. Okay. Uses under special permit. Okay, so one accessory apartment is permitted in a B2 lot subject to the requirements in section 16.
I think that should be 17, right, Fran? Is that what we,
Accessory apartments, yes.
17?
17 was accessory apartments. Okay. I wonder where you would put an accessory apartment there. Now is
So
the
let me,
chiropractor also? Chiropractor is also B2, right?
who's the chiropractor?
Doctor. Is your,
Gross.
thank you, Dr. Gross. Thanks, Michael.
Right.
I'm awake, really I am.
He's B2.
He's
So-
B2 also, so that, you could put an accessory apartment there. I could see that. Okay, I'm just trying to figure where you would put one.
So you could also, Dr. Paralia has, as it turns out, space to enlarge his building. He could enlarge his building and put an accessory apartment in it. He could go up a second story and put an accessory apartment in it.
Okay.
So there
Now,
are,
those-
are
those-
places where,
Those Yanatelli apartments, is that also considered B2, the ones that are behind him?
yes, they're
Okay.
B2.
I'm looking at my sheet. Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah.
we're taking that out, leaving that in. One accessory apartment, we don't need that. Okay. Minimum requirements, here we go, ta-da. Lot
This-
area 40,000.
First off, this is probably in the wrong space, in the wrong spot. So let me look at it tomorrow and see where it should go.
Okay, so minimum requirements.
Fran, which page are we on? Is it 30? Where are we?
We're on page 30, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna skip over minimum requirements. Marie, you're gonna let us know where you put it.
No, we're not going to skip over it. We're going to look
Okay.
at IV, which is incorrectly numbered.
course.
No, it's correctly numbered. It's correctly numbered. Front yard setback has been changed. It's currently 60 feet, which says that from the lot line, any building in B2 must be set back 60 feet from the lot line. It was changed to 10 feet in case there is a decision by one or more of the property owners there to relocate their building. So why did this come up? Well, you remember when Grand Union burned?
Mhm.
A really good thing would have been for Grand Union to move forward toward Chestnut Street and have all the parking and delivery in the back. That did not happen. But what we wanted here was to have the code say it can be done at some point in the future.
Are they 60 feet back now or are they more? I have no concept of how that.
They're probably close to 60 feet.
And that's from the street or from the sidewalk?
From the lot line.
From lot 9.
And I don't know where the lot line is.
One of these years, I'm gonna find that grant.
I'm,
looking-
I'm assuming that the lot line there is where the parking lot starts. That's an assumption on my part.
So 10 feet.
I'm not for the 10 feet. I think that's too small.
What would you propose?
I don't know if I would change it, actually.
I like the parking in the back, although I'm sure the people who live back there won't like it. But it would be, I mean,
If you're having parking, why would you want it in the back and not in the front?
a lot of like little villages in like Long Island and stuff,
Have the
their parking is all in the back.
Right.
It's,
Right.
it's, you don't see the cars, you see the nice looking buildings and blah, they look like the facade of the other buildings. The only thing with that whole setup, I mean, he's either gonna have to move the whole thing if ever that happens. I don't see them moving bits and pieces of it. It's one big building.
Well, that's
It's
what we
pretty-
say, that's what we say now, but if something were to happen, such as another fire, it could be decided to separate the buildings into separate buildings, separate the one building into separate buildings.
I say I have no concept in my head of where 10 feet would be. I would assume like where the first,
10 feet would go from the sidewalk. There's a small area there, a parking spot that they have, the ones that face 9D are probably 16 feet long.
Right,
Cars
so
probably.
that's very close.
So
Yes.
10 feet is right there.
right.
So maybe 20 feet. I would go at least past where the cars are parked, you know, the first row of cars facing, I would go 20 feet. I think 10 is, I agree with Dave, I think 10 is too small.
Steve, thoughts on this one?
I'm not sure. I'm not prepared to answer that question.
Okay.
Steve, are you falling asleep, Steve?
Can't even. My whole jaw's numb.
It's the only thing there is.
I know, but just leave it out there. When my chewing comes out, I'll be out after. Sorry. People are offering me food.
You know,
Sorry, what did you
Denise,
say, Fran?
I said, are you falling asleep? Is it time to?
Do they deliver, Steve? Because I'll eat it.
Yeah, come on over. You can sit next to me.
Steve, you need something with a straw, Steve.
I do. Yeah,
Okay, can we just think about that one? And
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave that one.
I can decide, and Lynn can chime in too.
Okay.
where is Lynn?
She's
At a food shoot.
still taking pictures.
Ooh, shoot.
At a food shoot.
I could use that right now.
Okay, building height. We're at 2.5 stories, 35 feet.
That's what it was
And-
before. There was no changes there, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Okay, building percentage of lot 30%. Supplemental regulations applying to. Okay, this doesn't have to be, let me just do something here. All right. Okay. Supplement, sorry, guys.
So I'm not sure I
Mhm.
understand what the identified versus located with approval. If they're located with the approval, would they be identified on a plan?
In the site plan, yeah. That's why this was changed. The site plan would show entrances and exits, loading and unloading, roads, sorry, right. If there is any driveways, all that would be in the site plan.
So should it be, shall be identified in site plan?
You could say that it's somewhat redundant with earlier when we talk about the site plan being required, but you could certainly do that. It should say on the site plan.
One. Okay, that takes care of that. That takes care of that. All permitted uses and all storage accessory and all storage accessory thereto. Other than off-street parking shall be carried on in buildings fully enclosed on the sites, on all sites. Okay, all loading and unloading shall be off the street and on the property, according to the plan approved by the planning board. Oh, we don't need that, just off. That's just the rules, right? We're okay?
Yeah,
What's that, sorry?
I'm sorry, let me go back and put it back in.
All loading and unloading shall be off the street and on the property?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
took out according to the plan approved, so it's just, that's just what the rule is. We don't need a plan to say that.
Okay, because, well, Food Town does that.
Shall be off the street and on the property. Well, it is, it's on their property, sort of. No, it isn't.
no, it's not, right.
See, if they move the buildings forward, they'd have plenty of room to do that in the back.
They move it forward, they wouldn't be, it would be doing all that just for that, which they
Yeah,
get.
right.
All right.
Any use located on a lot, any lot line of which lies within 25 feet. Any use located on a lot within 25 feet of a residence district boundary shall be screened along any such lot line. Those houses in the back, are they still B2?
Are they?
No, they're all R1.
There are one.
Yeah.
So any use located on a lot within 25 feet of a residence shall be screened along any such lot line from
Yes.
that residence district, and light shall be arranged to conform to chapter 81. Screening
Yes.
shall,
So, for example, Dunkin' Donuts had to put up a fence.
right. So all the stuff that's behind like the restaurant and behind Food Town, I guess they're screened because they have them in like little, they have a little wall or something.
To the best of my knowledge, well, they are not screened other than by saying that their exterior wall screens from the residential properties across the street.
Okay, we're good. In the residence district, lights shall be to conform with chapter 81. Let me just go back. Okay, so that there should be no glare of lights, okay.
So here we have in V, the planning board mentioned again.
Supplemental sign regulations, subject to the regulations set forth in 104 signs, shall be permitted with the approval of the planning board as to size and location. All right, so this is, we're gonna leave this.
Coming around here.
Okay. That's for later. Conversion of a first floor commercial.
Can we go back for a sec to
Sure.
the 2.5 stories of a house being 35 feet? If you could be under 35 feet and have 3 stories, is that okay? I don't like if you're in a hillside or whatever, and one whole story of your house is in the hillside, and then you have 2.5 stories sticking out, and you're still under 35 feet. Is that
That's conforming.
okay? So it's really, but it does specifically say 2.5 stories. So
That's also where I think, like what Dave was talking about, we decide where we're counting from, where we're measuring from.
Yeah.
And from finished grade.
okay,
The measurement is from finished grade.
I know that's how Butterfield got some of his extra space because he's on the hill.
hmm
So
And
measuring,
he also changed his grade.
right. Yeah, you rebuilt the whole.
That's it.
That's convenient.
Yes, but finished grade is, in the other
Okay.
codes that I've looked at, it does talk about finished grade.
what do you define as, I'm sorry, I don't know finished grade.
Your
What's
So-
yard.
finished grade?
So if you bring in dirt and pile it up against your house,
Mhm.
once the dirt is piled up, you measure it from the dirt up, not from where you started bringing in the dirt.
So if it rains and all the dirt washes away, it's too late.
Then you take the roof down.
Serve you right.
All right, I got the picture, so. Okay, we're at 6, V1, VI. Conversion of a first floor commercial, professional, or retail space to residential use is prohibited.
This is exactly what was stated in B1.
Right, in addition, existing storefront glass areas cannot be reduced during any renovation or use change or change from, okay, cannot be reduced during any renovation or use change or change from, can I just, does it make sense, or am I just messing this up if I take that out? Can we
Yes.
just say cannot be reduced during any renovation, use change, or change from residential? Is that better or is that wrong? I took out the word or. Oh, is that
I
good or
think,
not good?
I think that's good.
We're good? Okay. That, okay,
We need 2 oars.
Take out the extra space, Fran.
yes, ma'am. Amusement parks and circuses. We used to have a nice little fair, even when I was here. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Okay. Where'd I go? Dave, what page are we on? I lost it.
33. I think we're just starting into, I don't know if there's any other changes till we get to B3.
33. Okay, got this, got this. What the hell? Sorry. I saw amusement parks and now I've lost everything.
It starts up with bulk storage of any kind, including lumberyard warehouse.
Okay, gotcha. Bulk storage of any kind, including lumberyard, warehouses, gas station. How does this fall under amusement parks?
I'm sorry?
We have a whole section on amusement parks.
No, we
and-
said these are prohibited uses, amusement
Okay.
parks,
Okay,
bulk
gotcha.
storage.
Thank you. Okay, regulations for B3 designated retail financial professional district. This is the bank.
It's the bank and the nest. The two of them are the only two that are B3.
Okay. Site plan review and approval. In each case where a building or alteration or conversion is proposed in this district, a site plan shall be submitted. Who shall refer the site plan of the proposed building to the planning board for its review? Such board shall determine that all requirements of this chapter have been met, including the plan and standards required for site plan review. Everybody good so far? Reviews after holding public hearing following the procedure required for approval of site plan. For approval of, there's no subdivisions?
Well, the site plan, a site.
Yeah,
There could be a subdivision, although given the size of the two properties that are in B3, none of them are large enough to be subdivided.
I think that the
Yeah.
nest could be.
Pardon me?
The nest
No,
could.
no. Take a look at the size of the
Emmett-
minimum requirements.
M&T?
Dick Timmons feels differently. He feels he could break that property. His property, the nest goes all the way over to the parking lot for Butterfield. And could be a lot there, I believe. It's a long stretch because he's got his building and property between, I think probably goes up to the driveway on the bank, and then it goes his whole parking lot with the circle, and then he's got another lot, or part of his lot goes all the way over. So
Yes.
I think it could be subdivided.
Yeah, that's over 50 yards for sure. 150 feet or more, probably.
Okay, in this particular paragraph, we're talking about.
sorry. Backing up, the minimum lot size for B3 is 40,000 square feet with a width of 200 and a depth of 200.
Might be close. Well, the depth, no. No, maybe.
I mean, certainly we can put subdivision in there.
Okay,
Won't hurt.
Actually, but there's site plan required for approval. of site-
in each case, I'm building,
Okay, so where it says site plans, say for approval of site plans or subdivisions.
okay. Okay, that's good. Under the village law shall approval modifications is when modifying or disproving any site plan, the board shall enter its reasons for such action. In its records, the applicant shall pay a fee, blah, 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 the same amount as required for an application variance. Okay. Permitted uses, retail business, banks and similar commercial, professional offices and services instead of business and professional offices. Single-family residences. I guess if he wants to subdivide it, he could do that too. Okay, single-family residences go in, restaurants go in. Signs accessory to an establishment located on the same lot, provided such signs are limited as set forth, that's fine. Churches and similar places of worships and parish house. Schools meeting the State Department of Education requirements, public libraries and municipal buildings. See, we could put our office over there. Okay. Uses under special use permit from the planning board, according to 134.6, none. Okay, so there's none.
correct.
None. And churches comes out, so the churches doesn't need a special use permit, they're just allowed.
Yep.
They're above. Okay. Schools, meeting, State Department, that comes out, that's just in the first section. All applications for special uses shall comply with, okay, so there's actually none.
Yep.
Take all of that out.
Should 2 be deleted, Fran? Yeah, good, good.
Got it, okay. Minimum 40,000 square feet. Lot width 200, lot depth 200. Front yard. This
Currently,
is
the
another,
currently the front yard setback is 60 feet out of the 200 feet required lot depth, which gives 140 feet for whatever function or building they want in there. The thinking here is that that's too deep and that it should be less.
how far back is M&T's building?
It's probably close to, I'm going to say it's probably 50 feet.
Building is 50 feet, that's all it is?
Dragons and stuff.
So
Well, maybe it's more, but I would say it's at least 50 feet.
This is one section that I looked over and I brought up, and while CUC was working, I totally disagree with this. And I feel we need, I just think that space over there is open space. And I think the village, the more open space we have, the better it is. And I think that just jamming, the possibility of putting, a whole row of houses there with, 2.5 stories, or having, family residence there, now that we're saying we can, along that whole strip, it could be. It just keeps taking more and more space away from the village, which makes our village what it is. I mean, we have St. Mary's Lawn, and we have some of this space here, and some of our fields, and that's what kind of makes us unique. And to allow somebody to build 10 feet away, to me, I'll never agree to this. I think it's good the way it is. I think things are set back. It's got a good feel to it, and it gives us a little bit of open area.
yeah, I don't like it being 10 feet. I think that's way too close. I mean, there's a bit of breathing space in that strip, and we lost all the breathing space by Butterfield, although he put a nice park there at the time, right now. And
That's not done either. There's another building going in there.
yeah, no, I know that. There's another building coming up in the front, which is going to squash in the whole rest of that area where the fence still is.
And to say that's a park is a stretch. There's people with lawns bigger than that.
Wait, I want some more benches there. The benches aren't where I want them to be. But
I
anyway.
love the benches are looking at a retention basin, which is always attractive.
Yeah, I'm not good with 10 feet here at all. I'd much rather leave it as it is. So at 60 feet, I have no concept of, I mean, Marie, you think it's 50 feet that the bank is back? It seems to me to be.
It's at least 50 feet.
That's more, for sure.
How is that property that the bank is on? Is it 200 feet or is it less? The depth of it?
I'd have to look it up.
Mean north and south?
I mean, yes, north and south.
Yeah.
No, I mean, east and west.
To the bank or behind it and
From
everything?
the whole lot, from 9D to the end of their property. in the back.
Probably, yeah,
Oh,
'cause it goes back to the woods back there. And then I know the guy that owns those woods there. And his property doesn't start at the parking lot. It's a little further up, so.
Now, is that Michael Ty that still owns them?
No, it's
Those-
Alex Carone and Betsy Carone. They own that.
Oh, okay. I'll look up the
They have
size.
the house behind it, yeah.
I'll look up the size of M&T and the Nest.
Yeah, I was just curious because,
And if the concern is for 10 feet, Dave, you said, put up a row of residential houses. The requirement still exists that for any parcel in a B3 district, the parcel has to be 200 feet by 200 feet. So you could have one residence where M&T is and one residence where the Nest is.
If the nest burnt down.
If the Nest burnt down, right?
Yeah, but then you can,
And by the way,
Um,
I don't think the nest is 60 feet in. I think it's less than 60.
Oh, so do I. So, I've
I mean,
made my opposition clear
I
from the
wouldn't,
start, and I won't change my mind on it.
I mean,
Fine, I don't think they're gonna change it, and I don't want to, whatever.
if the nest is less than 60 and the bank is less than 60, I mean, whatever they are, I'm comfortable with. I don't know if they're 50 or if they're 40. I just don't like 10.
I would
What
say
about,
the
what
nest-
about 20?
I don't think so.
What
No,
about, what about 25, which is what we have in all R1 districts?
Why do we want another building there?
Why not?
Because it's as I had so eloquently
It was
explained
eloquent.
before.
you were
that
eloquent.
We need, I think what separates us from any other village you want to go to is that we do have open space. We do have green. We have a little breathing room left to just put another house and another house and another house, and then it's all gone. And then there's no distinction. So that's my argument. That's why I wouldn't want a house there. I don't think we need it.
And for me, that space between Oak Street and Butterfield Road or whatever it is, it's dead space. It doesn't attract anyone on foot to that space.
Why do we want to attract people to that space?
Because what we're trying to do
Who is
is
we?
to create
Who is we?
the code update committee minimally, the comprehensive plan in addition.
Well, the
What we're
code
trying
update
to-
committee doesn't decide what they want or where we should be, or where they think the village should go. I think they should be working.
I'm trying to articulate why I think it should not be 60 feet.
What did the comprehensive plan say, Marie?
The comprehensive plan is looking for a more walkable village. That those two parcels are absolutely dead zone as far as pedestrians are concerned. You have no reason to be on that side of the street, none whatsoever.
Yeah, but I would rather walk by that than to walk by the houses that are 2 blocks down.
I'm sorry?
I would rather walk by that than to walk by the houses that are north of that.
So,
on that.
but if the businesses that were located in the B3 district were closer to the street, that might entice more people to walk to those businesses as opposed to driving to them.
Because there's a one house across the street?
Because I'm sorry, I don't
You said
understand.
only one building could go across the street that have to conform to the 200 square or 200 feet. So you're saying one building across the street is going to draw more people to that area?
If M&T Bank or whatever replaces it were closer to the street, or if the Nest or whatever business replaces it were closer to the street, those businesses, whether it's M&T Bank or another liquor store or the Nest or an emergency medical building, if they were closer to the road, I think they would draw more pedestrians. That was why we,
Draw more what? Pedestrians?
pedestrians,
So people would walk to them rather than drive to them?
yes.
I think that's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, we walk a lot. I know a lot of people don't, but I think
So do
people
I.
who don't walk, for reasons of age or health or whatever, aren't going to walk, whether they're closer or not. Maybe I'm wrong, I mean, I thought we were going to have some nice retail stores in the front of the Butterfield property where all those nice doors are that go into the medical center where you can't use any of those doors. That would have been walkable. That would have been nice. Now there's no way to get in and out of there without going up the hill and around.
And how many people from the village walk over to Food Town, or how many walk over to the liquor store?
I do.
I do.
Yeah, but that's a few people. It's like, this is not going to draw more people because there's a building across the street. They're going to say, oh, I'm going to walk over there now. It's attractive.
I mean,
It's not green and looks good with ginkgo trees and that are huge and, lawn that's beautiful. It's like, now there's a nice house there that I feel more inclined to go over there.
It's not,
I mean-
I'm not talking about a house, I'm talking about a business.
If somebody put a nice ice cream parlor there, I'd walk.
So, I mean, that's a
As long as it's
possibility.
back from the street.
And we
I'm
have ice cream parlor, so.
I'm still
I don't
not-
know.
I'm
So,
not
okay,
gonna-
just to make this clear, does anybody value open space on this board as far as?
I do.
Or is everything should be, is our mission to fill every spot so that we can have as many people? This is how the state parks, that's my interpretation of what they like. We'll work on whatever, we'll mitigate the problems out there. Let's get as many people in. This is open land that's just sitting there. It's also heavy equipment operators' delight. Is open space is just something that's a waste. We should turn everything into, like, you know, some usable piece in our minds. It should be businesses. We should have houses right along that whole street, just before it, and that stretch you were talking about from Paulding Avenue over to Oak Street. And we should just have duplicate that and get more people here.
No,
And
I
get
think, I
more
mean,
traffic and get more people, you know. It's not going to stop people. It's not going to make people walk. I guarantee that.
I disagree with you.
I mean, I'm not totally, I mean, I don't like changing it to 10 feet. I'm not, you know, I am not totally agreeing with everything Dave says, because I think, you know, I think there is a lot of people who like the green and like, you know, like to see stuff, but I don't want them that close. I think it's a nice piece of property. I mean, I don't think everything has to be conforming to as close to the edge as possible. So I'm against changing this from 60 to 10. I like leaving it at 60, especially because the lot size is so big.
I like it
Would
at
you-
60 as well. Also, if people want to have parking in front of, something happens and someone buys that property, they put a new building there, you know, they may want the parking in front of it like Food Town is, or something like that.
But right now, given the current zoning, you can't, it would be impossible to subdivide the M&T Bank. Dave feels that it's possible to subdivide the Nest. I'm not sure. I'll look up the sizes.
Take a lot.
But would have to be 400 feet wide.
400 feet wide. I thought it was 200.
Well, if we subdivide it
200 by. Oh, I see.
to 400s. I know we just talked about across the street, we put that on hold. Moving that from 60 to 10, and we talked about moving it maybe to 20 or something.
25.
25. I mean, I like the greenery. It's not to say that if we keep this at 60, that it's not going to stay, you know, it's not going to become a parking lot instead of some green, nice green grass. You know, that's
Well, if
something we haven't got.
you're going to put a business, as Marie suggests there, then where's the parking going to go? If it's not close, if it's close, then you can put it between it, or I guess since it can't be subdivided, the bank would have to come down, I guess. So you're going to have a building in front and then the parking in the back without the bank there.
I think we're trying to plan for the future when half of us may not even be here anymore.
No,
Just
I
thinking-
understand that, but the way I guess our zoning works, you wouldn't be able to subdivide that lot, so it's one lot, and we changed the frontage that you would need, so the bank couldn't stay there. We put a new building in front that could be 10 feet away from the sidewalk.
Well, the bank can stay there unless it burns down or unless they sell it and then somebody else comes in and wants to change it. I mean, if they sell the bank building and the new person who buys it keeps that building, is that considered grandfathered?
The building is grandfathered, yes.
So regardless, so if we change this to 10 and the bank sells their building, unless the new people come in and tear it down,
Mhm.
then it has to stay where it is.
Right, and then you have a storefront, which I guess out of 200 feet of road frontage there, where do you park? So do you have a parking lot behind that between the bank and this store? Or just people can only walk there?
I'm not sure I understand the
Okay.
question.
Right now, okay, the piece we say that we can put this 10 feet from the front yard
Right.
setback is 10 feet. You suggested before that not a residence, but a retail shop or store.
Yes.
Okay, how wide would that store be? That store could be out of 400 of whatever that lot size is, we don't know yet. But out of that front, it could be a 10-yard setback on each side.
Sorry, the side yard setback is 20 feet.
It's 20 feet in that district.
The
Okay, so
rear
that-
yard setback is 30 feet.
okay, so we could have a 160-foot building there. And for retail, it's 10 feet away from the sidewalk. And where's the parking for that go?
Behind it,
Behind it. That's attractive.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, if we-
Having parking in the rear is attractive.
Okay. Do you know, I think that, I think a piece of property is yours, for example. Why don't we put another building on your piece of property? We'll
Because
take
my-
down those big trees.
I've thought about that, but my property is not wide enough to
We should
subdivide.
change the zoning. Whatever. I'm sorry. It's just my opinion, and I'll stick with it, and we can bring that up at the public hearing.
So the other thing that has to conform is, I'm not suggesting that there be two buildings on the one parcel. I'm suggesting that if something happens to the M&T Bank and there is an opportunity to build a new building, then that new building, what I'd like to see, or what the Code Update Committee would like to see, is that that new building can be set back less than 60 feet.
But-
And the suggestion was 10 feet, make it 25.
I'd have to go over there and have someone mark off what 25 feet looks like, what 40 feet looks like, because I have no,
If we change the code, though, that the building could stay there, and can they then, and I don't know, I don't have these measures in my head, the lot coverage, can they leave the bank there and also add another building in the front?
If it conforms to the 35%.
Right.
They could do that.
Yeah, and I think they could.
so that would, you mean another building with the same owner like M&T? Because you're not,
M&T bought that. If somebody bought M&T and they said they
Mhm.
wanted to make M&T into office space and wanted to build a building in the front,
okay, gotcha.
back, you could do
Yeah.
that.
And if they wanted to do that, there would not be enough room to do that.
Well, you know that for sure?
Yeah, I'm using, so if M&T is set back 60 feet and the minimum front yard setback changes to 25 feet, you would have 35 feet to build a second building between the 25-foot setback and the current M&T Bank. That's awfully close to build another building.
Or they could
Saying that
expand,
the Back 60 feet, and I think it's more than 60 feet.
or they could just expand the M&T Bank building and grow it forward. Double the size of that building, depending on, as you say, the 35% coverage. I mean, if somebody wanted to go in there and grow that building, make it huge, they could double the size of it, tear out the front wall and double the size of it. That would bring it forward.
What do you think is the footprint of the M&T Bank?
I'm not good at that at all.
I know,
Not a clue.
I wasn't, the question wasn't directed to you, Fran.
Mhm.
Dave or Steve, what do you
Like
think?
30 by 50. something
30
like
by 50.
So you got 30 by 50 on a lot that should be 40,000.
So if it is in fact 30 by 50, so that's
It's an educated guess.
only 1,500 square feet. That's only 1,500 square feet, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
It is, that's the right.
So they can put another building there now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're at a very small percentage because they've got the,
But
A
they
lot
can't
of
put another
parking.
building there now because it's a 60-foot setback.
Yeah, their shortest setback is on the north side there. And that's probably just conforms. So they're all the way on that north corner almost.
And their
So
rear
what they-
is-
what they could do then is they could move the parking to the front and then build the building in the back.
That's what I was just
They-
talking about.
but
I'm
they,
sorry, I misunderstood you.
but they need 30 feet in the back, right?
Yeah, but according,
got I think.
And the smart thing about doing that is all the people would have to walk up the hill, which would be very,
Good exercise
You're wise.
at any age.
Good for you until you can't walk anymore.
But you came back.
And they could also go south. I think there's space
Well,
where
yeah, long ways. Yeah, they got they got a good,
they got the driveway coming up.
Mhm.
they could put another building the same size with a space between them in that space. You know what I mean? Right next to it.
They need 20 feet on each side, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
So
darn.
now that we've solved everything that I'm.
Put a really big building there if you use that lot to its potential.
Which unfortunately would be all within our code right now. Anybody could come in and buy that and do that without changing anything in the code.
Except they'd have to stay 40 feet back.
Or 60 feet
Park
back, yeah.
still, so they're going to be limited to what they do. They're not going to put a huge building in with no parking. That's
They could use the front for parking without a problem.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I was
correct.
saying before.
Yeah.
they could do that now,
Sure.
no problem.
So, all right, so I gotta think this through. If somebody could go over there and get some paint, please, and paint on the grass and tell me we're
Why
40.
don't we hold,
Well, your house is like 25 feet wide, Fran.
My house is, my
Right.
lot is 40. I got a 40 by 100 lot.
Oh, but your house, you were talking about 25 feet before.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Mhm.
It's probably about like that. Maybe a little more.
Okay. Now I have to take that and move it over. All right.
I'm going to buy you a tape measure. I'll drop
You
one.
want- I have a tape measure, so I'm just brain dead. Okay. Shall we move on? We're almost at the stop line.
818.
We can go to the next one. I think we corrected that once already, right?
Which one is this? Building percentage lot, I got that.
Down to
Or F. Yes, yeah, we did correct this someplace else. Entrances and exit driveways shall be identified. And we said
on the site plan.
on the site plan.
You got N the site plan.
Well, you know,
Yo,
hey. Okay. Got a whole bunch of junk here that we don't need.
my Google just logged me out.
Oh, seriously, locked you out?
Yeah,
That means the bell rang.
Password.
okay, well, we can end this session now then.
That works for me.
What-
We start at,
where
we're
are
at
we at?
F. We're at F, we're at 134, I believe it's
Or
11.
11,
F,
F3? No, yeah, F3.
okay. So we start at 134.11 F tomorrow. What are we doing, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday, right. Okay,
Uh,
then.
All right.
It's been so much fun.
That was great.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, all.
Good
Everybody.
night, all. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael.
Mike.
Don't forget to lock up. Thanks.
I'll do that. Bye all.